Perfect. Let's do it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Win and Bet Picks. We have a special show today, first of many episodes. It's a new series we're starting called Let's Talk Sports Betting, and we're here live with the Daily Slate. If you guys are not following him on Twitter, you can follow him at his handle, the Daily underscore Slate. Um, so yeah, a few topics of discussion today. More or less, we're going to be speaking about bankroll, unit management. We're also going to be speaking about volume, so betting styles, really playing a small number of bets versus a high number of bets, and also finding values in our plays. Daily, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Looking forward to a great weekend of NFL football. Also, plenty of great soccer action on the pitch this weekend as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know your boys Milan are ready to kick off in a little bit.
Right.
Looks like should be a good matchup with Belotti and Torino.
Yep.
And let's get after it. Let's give the people some good content.
Perfect. Well, first of all, thank you for joining us. It's a real pleasure to have you on the show. I know we've been speaking for months, and finally we get to do this. Very excited.
Absolutely.
Just want to give you props as well, man, for running one of the best pages on Twitter. You're really
Oh, hell
killing
yeah.
it. Keep up the good work. Um, just gonna start off with speaking a bit about. Um, the bankroll unit management, of course, it's something I personally always look at when it comes to betting plays. Um, and of course, it's something that, we got to start by giving a certain budget, right? So a budget that you need to kind of say, okay, what's good for me, right? Is it $1,000 or $2,000 that you're willing to start with? That's something that you gotta preset already before you even start playing a bet. Now, Daily, how do you normally do it? Of course, you probably have different books that you play on, but how do you preset this? Do you kind of go with a certain amount that you already have predetermined before depositing into a book, or do you kind of go like setting yourself a monthly budget? How do you do it more or less?
It's a very interesting question, and I'll start with a quick background. When I first got into sports gambling, I was just another sports fan who said like, "Hey, let's watch the game and throw a bunch of money on this, that, or the other thing."
Hmm.
And I didn't really understand it until I really started getting into it and reading about it and learning about it, and actually just talking to working with other knowledgeable people as well. So how I like to set my bankroll is if you're gonna sports gamble, the first thing is you gotta accept the fact that you're probably gonna lose a very good percentage of your bets. Even the best are hitting at like 60 to 62. Maybe some people play a little bit higher juice and hit around 65. That's great. But for me, what I did is I set aside, we don't need to get into exact dollar amounts, but I set aside a little bit, some money that I had saved up, as a fun account, and I set that aside for sports betting. And I then, the next most important thing, I lost it for a sec there. Did you get into units and unit size at all?
We didn't get into that just yet. Just more or less how, like you said, right? Like you're putting an amount on the side into a sports book, and of course afterwards, kind of like how are you
Yeah.
predetermining your dollar amount, right? Like how are you betting your amount of dollars on this particular play?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely by confidence level too. I actually went a step further with it, and we could, in talking actual finances, I set aside an entire. I made a separate bank account
Okay, nice.
that I said like this is my fun bank account. I'm going to set like X amount of dollars in this bank account. And then when moving forward with my bets, I personally do a 1, 2, and 3 unit scale. Um, nine I over 90% of my bets are going to be 1 unit straight bets, straight wagers. And so I usually say 1 unit is about 2% of my full bankroll that I have set aside for betting. And then that's, to be honest with you, that's actually changed over time too. I just recently lowered my unit size a little bit because I'll just, me personally, soccer is my sport. You and I both understand the high level of variance that there is in soccer. If you're
Absolutely.
wagering, if you're wagering 5 to 10% of your bankroll on a soccer match on any sort of line, regardless of your confidence, you're going to go broke because all the stats, and we can talk more about soccer later, but if you throw 10% of any of your bankroll on one thing, like a lot, like maybe you do it once a year, or like if you have, but I don't even do that. The max that I'll ever play is 3 units, which I guess would be 6%.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily divide it into percentages. I have it more in dollar amounts in my
Same
head.
here.
But I would never, I couldn't stomach anything more than 3 units on a single wager. And like I said, I even recently lowered my unit size, not because I was losing. I went a little cold for a little bit, but it wasn't because I was out of money. It wasn't because I was losing. It was because it's, quite frankly, there's just so much variance
So
in
much.
sports betting. It's so hard to predict and win over a long period of time. I was getting too stressed with like high unit sizes, and whether I win or lost, like it wasn't as fun. I can say once the second I lowered my unit size right at the beginning of this year, automatically, already right off the bat, less stressful, and I'm already
Absolutely.
having more fun. And I'm not winning, or I'm not losing. Like I'm not worried about losing a bunch of money.
No, right. And at the same time, you kind of have to put it into perspective that over a long run, you mentioned it. You took the words right out of my mouth. This is a long term game, and a lot of people kind of see this like, especially new betters or amateur betters. By no means am I a professional bettor, but what I mean to that is, like, just new to betting. People that just start putting wagers here and there. They'll think of it like, oh, I didn't make what I wanted, or oh, I just lost so much money. Let's make it back. Let's put more. That's not necessarily how it works. This is a long-term game. It's something that you need a lot of discipline if you want to come out as a winner in this. And like I said, make sure you track all your bets. Make sure you track your units, because in the long run, that's where you'll be able to scale yourself and determine, if you're coming out of this thing as a winner or not. And you really mentioned it there, Daly. At the same time, you kind of have to evaluate it yourself. If you think, I personally play always 2 or 3% of my bankroll as well, and I never bet. I mean, I used to back in the day, but I very rarely bet more than one unit on a game, and that corresponds to, three max 3% of my bankroll. It's like you said. No, at the same time, you want to go into it too stressed as well. And if it's money that you're kind of you have a plan for in the long run, and not just like shooting it all in one shot, you need to have that very strategic way of doing it, right? So completely agree with all your points there. Now, another thing that I think we both differentiate a bit from it is the volume, right? The volume of bets. I know you like a lot more higher volume. You do play a lot of games. You look at a lot of leagues, especially in soccer, which I find personally very entertaining, for you to do that. And at the same time, I respect you a lot, because especially on Twitter, there's not a lot of people that, will dig into leagues that maybe no one ever watched a game in before, right? But like finding those bets and finding, those values is definitely something you should be super proud of. So very, very excited the way you do your bets on Twitter. So how do you go about your day? Let's say, like usually I see you sometimes maybe putting, I would say 5 to 10 bets a day, sometimes around those lines. How do you go about choosing your games? Are you just scanning through the league, seeing what's exciting for you, or what you think is going to be profitable, or are you looking at stats in general here?
Well, first off, Joe, I appreciate the kind words. It is, I definitely have a ton of fun with it, and it's been a heck of a ride. I'm blessed to gain some followers on Twitter here and there. You get your trolls too, so that you take the good with the bad.
For sure.
But just to get into my personal strategy a little bit, I am by no means a professional. I really enjoy looking at the numbers. I'm not subscribed to any serious like databases or anything like that. I have the Flash Score app, which I don't know if you use or not, but
Of course.
if you bet soccer, you have to have Flash Score to check your scores. And in terms of like my day and my process, I always look the night before at whatever at the slate. I actually, to be completely honest with you, I look weeks in advance. I look up to 2 weeks in advance. I usually have my matchups that I know I'm going to like circled, or the spots I know I'm going to. I have those circled a good week in advance, so it gives me a little bit of time to really analyze the matchup. A big thing is I can track the line movement. Then you can anybody can really give it a good shot at handicapping. It's tough. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of variance.
Hmm.
But if you give me the stats to whatever league, for example, a league I'm really into right now is Cyprus, and I think a lot of it goes back and forth on the books and how they value teams in the league. But I've noticed that, and this is just one very specific random example in Cyprus, the totals are every single over 2.5 is plus money.
Crazy.
And that indicates that the books have this as a low scoring, slow paced league.
Right.
And if you look at the stats, at least from this last two campaigns, they're not. Teams often can score 3-4 goals at a time, and so being that totals are definitely my favorite thing to target. I've been able to find a lot of value in lower leagues like that. That maybe just because the books don't have that much action on them or don't cover them that much, they might just be a little bit behind. You're never going to you're never going to be smarter than the books,
Hmm.
but you can win long term if you find value. And then in terms of, I just my really specific strategies, I look at where a team is are they scoring more at home or away? Are they conceding more at home or away? Does that mean they play with a more open playing style, say at home or on the road?
Hmm.
You gotta love high scoring teams going against teams that concede a ton. Okay. And I'll even go a step further to say I love to target totals in soccer because there are so many variables that can affect your outcome.
Right.
Red cards, penalty kicks. There's just and the age old adage, and I don't bet overs just because they're fun, which a lot of people do it, and they are fun. But the age old adage, it's never dead. You can get a late couple of goals, you can get
Hmm.
a late fluke penalty kick. So there's more ways the wager can win, in my opinion. So that's a little bit of my strategy. And it's worked for me so far, and I've had bad months too. So it's a lot of fun. I have fun doing it, and I'm always happy to help anybody or chat with anybody who likes the same thing. Because, like I said, we're not. You and I don't live in Las Vegas. We don't go back and forth to Circus Sportsbook every day and
Hmm.
make a living on this. We're regular guys who like to have fun and watch a game and throw a couple bucks on it, and that's what we do.
Absolutely. And speaking about Circa, that's one place I would definitely like to go
Mm,
and check out. That place looks
absolutely.
amazing. Yeah, no, and I definitely appreciate, lots of takeaways, I think, for myself and the viewers from what you mentioned, some great points there. And one important thing that you really touched based on is really having fun with this, guys. At the end of the day, I know a lot of people, might think, once again, if you have a losing streak, even if it's a week, 2 weeks, people even go on losing streaks for a month or more. At the end of the day, you have to kind of see this as, like I said, a long-term thing. And just because you have a losing day or a losing week, you can't lose hope. It's like a stock, right? At the end of the day, a stock might be going up for days, but at one point you'll definitely reach that peak that it's gonna balance itself out. It's gonna go downward or upward depending on how it's trending. You kind of have to look at it like that, I guess, in sports betting as well. If you agree on that, Daily.
Agree with that actually 100%. There's a lot of for those of you that are in the financial stock world, there's a lot of similarities
Mm-hmm.
between stocks and betting. Um, but the one I actually wanted to say this with our last conversation when we were talking about unit size.
Yeah.
This is not a get rich quick thing.
No.
You are not, honestly, let me just tell everyone this right to your face. You're not going to make tens and hundreds of thousands doing this. There are people on social media that say they do. The people that flash the most money and winning $100,000 tickets on social media, it has been more than proven that those are the people that are in the biggest holes.
Absolutely.
Because it's just not real, and anyone who says that they do are there. I don't necessarily. Again, there are some sharps. There are some true sharps that make a living off this and make a ton of money and retire to a private island. But it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's supposed to be a fun hobby that you do like with your friends or with colleagues, and to enjoy the awesome gift of sports that we have, and you can never forget that these are humans you're betting on. They're people with families just like you and I that are their career is to go out and play sports, and we're the ones just wagering money, and they're the ones entertaining us at the end of the day. So it's that's what it is. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's supposed to be fun, and it can be profitable if you do it right over the long run.
No, exactly. And I think that's where many people just lose their patience, thinking, oh, I didn't make this much this month, or I didn't make this much in the year. Um, just screw this. Let me just like go bet big or go home sort of thing. And that's where
Mm.
they fall in these holes. If
That's how you get in trouble.
Exactly. And look, at the end of the day, by all means, if you want to do that, go ahead, but it's definitely something we both neglect. It's definitely not a strategy to look at long term, and more like 99% of the time, you're bound to just fall in that hole. And yeah, to get out of it, it's going to be quite impossible or very hard to get out. And people been losing stupid money, man. Like like I don't know if you ever watch all these documentaries on sports betting. Like, guys,
Oh,
the house always wins. Like yeah, you can definitely have strategies to bet against the public, or um, you know, just sort of have yourself a strategy to be like, oh, okay, yeah, Vegas must be liking this, or Vegas must be liking that. That's why they're putting this line like that. I mean, you could kind of think of it like that, but in the long run, I think really the only thing you can do is really enjoy this, have fun with it, and be responsible with your money. I think that's the major point I could tell you, if you agree, there, Daily.
completely agree with everything you just said there. It's you got to be responsible, and like I said, like I put a lot of time into this. I like to consider myself, decently knowledgeable, and I just lowered my unit size.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not
And there's nothing wrong with
it,
that.
yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It's supposed to be fun, and I just can't stress that enough. And like I said, I was getting stressed. Having a I built it myself up a good bankroll. I raised my unit size a little bit. Now all of a sudden, I'm playing with a big unit size, and a couple games don't go your way, and I'm like, wow, I'm finding myself aggravated and angry
Hmm.
that I'm losing bets, and
Yeah,
that's not me. You know what I'm saying? I don't
exactly.
like actually. win. Yeah, I want to win every bet, but like I don't like I'm not like putting my fist through a wall when I lose a bet. But I'll get a little frustrated. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna lower it, and now I'm significantly less stressed and having just as much fun. You know?
That's it. And you know what? Like myself, us on the channel last week, we had just so many losing plays that were just bad beats. And what can you do
Oh,
about it? You're not the one there playing, right? Like at the end of the day, yeah, events happen in sports, and it's things that unfortunately we have no control over. At the end of the day, you're looking for the best play. But once again, you're gonna have those streaks. You're gonna have those losing streaks as you're gonna have those winning streaks. And we've all been there. It's completely normal in this industry. You gotta, just keep doing what you're doing, and eventually it will even out. And hopefully you'll come out with some profits there. Um, so just a couple of last points I wanted to touch with you, Daly, before we wrap this up. Of course, you already mentioned some points about the Cyprus League, finding value in that league where yourself, you've been successful in that with the overs. So how do you find value? I know that you kind of look like you mentioned in terms of teams' performances, in teams of, is this team better at home? Is this team conceding a lot? So forth. And I know you like totals. I absolutely know that, and that's definitely a way to go about it. Of course, you still have to pinpoint games. You can't just like bet an over on any game.
yeah.
That would be too
Now,
easy. But yeah, how do you do it?
so, and I'm just going to talk about myself personally on this one. There are a lot of different strategies, and I talk with a lot of knowledgeable people who all bring good things to the table.
Mhm.
But the me personally, when I find value in terms of line value, I never ever ever will play a line that is juiced more than minus 150. And I know you play decimals, and I'm not too familiar with decimals,
Mhm.
but I think a minus 150 translates to about a 1.6. Am
Yeah,
I correct?
yeah,
Okay.
1.6, 1.66 around there. Exactly.
Yeah, right around. Yeah. So I would never, I don't find value in anything lower than that.
Hmm.
And I don't think, again, we talking long term. It's not a profitable long term strategy to play juice heavier than minus 150.
Right.
So when I'm looking at value, I'm looking at let's say like a game again. Over 2.5 goals is one of my favorite bets.
Hmm.
So does this said team? So again, I'll go back to a game I had yesterday in Germany, Bundesliga 2. Greuther Fürth. I can't. My German's terrible. I can't. I cannot pronounce it right. But they've been one of my favorite teams to target. They had five, or if, I think it was more than that. I want to say 6 out of their last 6 games are over that 2.5 goals line. They're playing at their opponent yesterday was Karlsruhe. Karlsruhe's 5 out of their last 5 games were over 2.5 goals. And then another sneaky little statistic and value point that I really like to look for. Again, this is just me. Head-to-head competition. I
Hmm.
think teams how they match up head to head in the past. Yes, players change. Yes, formations change. But there is definitely some correlation between prior head to head history. And I noticed that one yesterday in the Fürth Karlsruhe game. The 4 out of the last 5 head to head matchups had gone over that 2.5 goals total, including the last matchup last year where Fürth was able to put up 5 on the road. And it's just when the stars kind of line up like that for me, and not to mention, then you can go deeper into it. Now, if we want to talk advanced statistics, you've got expected goals.
Hmm.
Expected goals are in soccer are how many are goals the team is expected to score based on their performance. How many goals do they generate? Do they generate good opportunities? Now, some teams might have an expected goals of 1.5 and average scoring 2.5 goals a game. That means that they're either great at finishing or they got lucky. And then you have your teams, like I think of right now in Premier League, not that I'd ever bet on them, but Sheffield have 2 points.
Right.
Uh, Sheffield have an expected points of almost, I think it's 14 or 15 points, which would put them middle of the table.
So they're
Instead,
underachieving.
Exactly. They're underachieving. So again, I'm not going to go out and bet Sheffield United because they're not a good club. They're a
Right.
bad team. But they're underperforming or they've been unlucky
Mm-hmm.
to this point. So there is value on Sheffield in a lot of their games because the books are going to undervalue them because their record's poor. Well,
Exactly.
the expected goals might be the difference. That one thing I will say, Brighton in the Premier League, Brighton generate a great amount of expected goals. They generate a ton of chances, and the books really undervalue them. And I think they've actually shown recently that they can compete with the top clubs. Again, that's just a couple very, very small examples.
Mm-hmm.
You can analyze soccer, or as a lot of people know, football. You can analyze soccer in so many ways. There are so many leagues, there are so many teams and players. And who's to say that one is more successful than the other? But that's just my way of going about finding value.
No, absolutely. And, I think maybe in our next shows, we should definitely go a bit more in depth with the expected goals, especially in the soccer betting market. But I agree
Absolutely.
on all your points there, Daily. And bringing back to the previous point that you had made there in the Bundesliga 2 action that you had yesterday, we actually had a similar situation in the La Liga. It was Villarreal against Celta Vigo yesterday, and Celta Vigo were missing pretty much their two top strikers, and Villarreal were missing some guys of their own, but they had the more complete team. And the fact that you mentioned they're looking at head-to-head results, definitely, it helps a lot. The line was set at 2.25 for the goals. So bookies were definitely expecting a low-scoring game, given the fact that Celta Vigo were missing all their main guys. But looking at the head-to-head action, four of their last five games, um, they had a total of 4 goals or more, right? So looking at,
Yeah, I that
yeah,
was a great play. I almost hopped on that one too, and I shied away actually because of Celta being out of the scores. But I
right.
saw you on that tool. It was a great hit.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing game, and the best part was that it hit super fast as well. I think 3 goals hit in the first 15 minutes of the game. I mean, look, not every bet is going to be that simple,
No.
but we got lucky there. But I mean, it's just like you said, finding the value. Looking at history as well is very important because these are things that the books don't really want you to see. They want the average bettor to see, okay, this guy is missing, so maybe this team is gonna win. They're not gonna score many goals. But like you said, expected goals is huge in soccer betting, and yeah, I'm definitely super down to do a full episode on that together in the next coming weeks there, Daily. So I definitely appreciate your time. Maybe some last minute bets or picks that you personally have this weekend.
Absolutely. I'll give you my favorite play. I have two plays, or one today, one tomorrow, that I have multiple units on. Um, my favorite play today, we're going to go to Liga One in France.
Hmm.
I'm looking at the over 2.5 goals in Lens versus Strasbourg. The stats are amazing for this one. Both teams, respectively, Lens at home. Lens are averaging 3.5 total goals per game at home. Strasbourg are averaging 3.5 total goals per game on the road. So there, this your initial indicator that Strasbourg will play more attacking, a more open style of play when they're not on their home pitch. And Lens are again, they were not in their previous year in Liga Two, but now that they're in the top flight, they've been attacking relentlessly. They played a wide open game against Lyon last week, in which they were able to score on the top team in the league twice. I think we definitely. It was at plus value. It is now at about minus 108, which I believe would be about 1.92.
Exactly.
It's your odds. So
Exactly.
I love that play. And then tomorrow, I love the over. I don't know how you're going to feel about this one.
Hmm.
I love the over in Juventus and Sassuolo. The head-to-head history there is off the charts. I don't have those numbers in front of me at this time, but I'm pretty sure off the top of my head that 4 of the last 5 head-to-heads have gone over. Juventus is back. They are done. Like its Champions League is over for a while until I think we kick back up in March there. They need to make up some ground in Serie A. Juventus are way behind where they normally are.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to come out attacking. Sassuolo's defense has just been dreadful, absolutely terrible. They're coming off giving up 5 to Atalanta, but they do have Caputo back leading the way. So I definitely expect Sassuolo to find one on Juventus, whose defense is,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just been bad as well.
Absolutely.
But Ronaldo, Morata, the entire Weston McKennie, the entire Juventus is ready to go. They are back. They're trying to get back to the top of Serie A. I got this one ending. I think I could see Juventus covering the total at 3 themselves. I think they will. I think we got a 4-1 game there tomorrow. So those are my 2 plays. Lens Strasbourg over 2.5, and Juventus Sassuolo over 3. Those are my 2 favorite plays on the pitch for this weekend.
I love them, and yeah, getting back to that Serie A game. Obviously, it's the league I watch the most, right? For various reasons, but yeah, no, definitely. I think Juventus definitely want to make a statement again. They had a poor start to the season all around, and it's been really a disaster. But quickly they're looking to find their form back. Unfortunately for me, they had that win against AC Milan this week, but yeah, this team is definitely determined to jump back in those top 3 positions and overtake some teams. Of course, they have stronger positions this year, which wasn't always the case in previous years in Serie A. So yeah, definitely makes the competition a lot more fun. And Sassuolo, this is a team that, despite their defensive problems, these guys could definitely find the back of the net at any given time, and pair that with a Juventus defense that has been, almost unrecognizable so far this season. I can definitely see them finding the back of the net. So yeah, I definitely back your picks there, Daly. I definitely like that play there, especially in the Serie A. So yeah, we'll be definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, guys, without further ado, Daly, once again, appreciate your time today and coming on to the channel. Definitely looking forward to making more episodes in the future, whether it's about sports betting picks or sports betting education. Definitely appreciate you taking the time today. And if you guys aren't following him yet on Twitter, that's at the daily_slate. He posts his daily picks on soccer, especially. Time to time, he posts also different sports, so make sure to check that out. Any final words, Daly?
Nah, man, I appreciate having me. This was a lot of fun. This is a good quality conversation that we had today. The video is very clear stream and audio. I'm very impressed. I've done a lot of things like this in the past, and it's tough to get all the stars to line up where you just have a clear, like audio video stream. We're not professionals. We don't have studios and everything. We got
Right.
I'm sitting here in my girlfriend's virtual classroom, so we got to make do with what we do here.
Exactly.
So yeah, I appreciate having me, Gio, and best of luck, my man.
Thank you, man. Same to you, and let's go catch some NFL action now.
Let's